Ladies and gentlemen, what opposition has brought so far in their case is one thing, and that is the case that Article 5 doesn't work and we need the EFP in order to stop a Russian invasion. They have told us that Russia doesn't pose a threat, and we believe does pose a threat, and we believe that it's not so much a threat to the Baltics because Baltics are member states of NATO, and that is why NATO has a significant importance to actually help them out no matter what. We don't need the EFP for that, but also they have a strategic importance, exactly. So NATO would have to invade if Russia invaded anyway. I'm going to talk about three things. Firstly, I'm going to react to all the things they've said about the EFP actually being needed. Second of all, I'm going to look at their burden and how they're actually going to have to show us in this debate how without the EFP we're worse off, while matching that to our burden where we're showing that with the EFP we're actually worse off. And I'm going to draw out our impacts from our arguments, which they've actually never reacted to in their first speech. And then also I'm going to go towards the split argument about the EFP creating a self-fulfilling prophecy for ethnic divisions in Eastern Europe. So first of all, the reactions on what they've been saying. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they've been saying that Russia poses a significant threat because we see that they have invaded Crimea. They just walked in and took away a piece of land. They just walked into Georgia. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, but there is a fundamental question here. Is Ukraine or is Georgia a member of NATO? No, they're not. We believe that, however, the Baltic states and Poland, they are members of NATO. What that means is that it binds them to the NATO treaty. It binds NATO, in case of an invasion, that NATO has to walk in at any cost. And why is this important, ladies and gentlemen? Because why do we believe that we don't need the EFP for this? Article 5 is so important to NATO. It is basically the founding principle of NATO that every state, that an attack on a member state is an attack against every state. That if NATO didn't react, if Russia invaded anyway, then the whole organization would be fundamentally undermined. This is what we believe NATO cannot afford, and they realize this themselves because it's such a significant impact. NATO does not want to undermine itself, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, if Russia invades, and if there is a significant threat or an attack on those member states, they will surely intervene. In Ukraine, they did not have this obligation. They have this obligation here, even without the EFP. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the second point. We believe that also, even if we take them at their base case, Article 5 is not as effective, we believe that there is enough of a binding with the Baltic states and Poland, with other governing bodies like the EU, for example. With the EU, we have 4 states that are part of the EU that are economically intertwined with the EU to such an extent that it would be very bad if these countries suddenly got annexed by Russia. What happened with Brexit, ladies and gentlemen, is that the whole EU is feeling these impacts. And what would happen if suddenly 4 countries were taken away from the EU? Well, the EU probably wouldn't necessarily want that because of economic implications, and because the Baltic states are all in the Eurozone. This would be a horrendous impact, and the EU would want to prevent this itself. Also with its member states. So the member states have an incentive to help these Baltic states anyway. And also, ladies and gentlemen, even if we take also in their best case scenario and Russia invades and we have the EFP in there, the EFP is not going to make a difference. It's a few thousand soldiers, and we know this from an empirical evidence and a simulation by the RAND Corporation, which showed that if Russia invades and it goes and is going to fight their way towards Warsaw, they will be in Warsaw in 60 hours, even counting in all the other NATO forces that would be able to come afterwards. So we believe that even if the EFP is there, even with the training and all the things that they drew out, even with all of those things, they still wouldn't necessarily stand a chance. So effectively, it's kind of useless. And also, ladies and gentlemen, they've been telling us about sanctions and how sanctions are actually ineffective. Ladies and gentlemen, sanctions have brought Russia towards the table because they've been actually wanting to have a dialogue with us, even though the tensions are still pretty high. They've been actually, since 2016, wanted to make a dialogue with us about it, and that's because those sanctions have brought the Russian GDP to a decline of minus 2.2%, and this is a significant thing as well, ladies and gentlemen. So now I'm going to go to our impacts. Now that we see that we have enough of an incentive to go in anyway, even without the EFP, because they're effectively changing nothing, ladies and gentlemen. What their change actually is that if Russia invades, they send the current troops there and they fight, and a few thousand of these current NATO troops die, and then Article 5 people will come in. What we're saying is that the Article 5 people will only come in once Russia dies. No deaths, no major conflict. Okay, now to my impacts. Ladies and gentlemen, we've shown you that NATO will, that the escalation will lead to insustainability. What this means is that the EFP is using so much of many NATO's resources that the NATO states are actually looking at the EFP as a negative. The NATO states don't want to be involved in there because it's bleeding out their resources, and this is significant because NATO is actually undermining itself. The EFP is completely self-defeating its purpose here, and also we told you in our second argument about the discourse, and that people actually feel less safe once they see soldiers who show that the conflict is actually imminent to them, that once they perceive that there are tanks riding on the streets everywhere. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now to my split argument. We see that ethnic Russians who live in Eastern European countries, they're there because they like the living conditions, higher pay, maybe even a better political system, etc. They're still, however, part of a Russian culture, promote Russian traditions, and speak the Russian language. These people have lived in Eastern Europe for a while now and gathered political benefits from this and made themselves a social presence despite all odds. However, all of a sudden, though, foreign troops and military equipment move into the region, that's in the form of the EFP, and they know that they're there to protect someone. They're there to protect the country in which they live in from their birthplace, from the country of their cultural heritage, their language, and all of the things that make up their individuality. This creates a stigma around them, ladies and gentlemen, and this stigma is coming in a form of self-fulfilling prophecy that a quarter of the country, then the Russian ethnicity in these countries, cannot be trusted. They're viewed by their neighbors as a Russian spy. They can be viewed by the social discourse as someone who is an adversary to Russia and who is there to actually prepare the country for an invasion. We believe that this creates a harmful incentive because they perceive this as a risk of their place in the society they live in. And their identity is also being negatively, and they are doing this because they see that their personality is being negatively stereotyped. And they look for a protector in this case. And that protector is the one factor that is actually making up their individuality, Russia. What this does is that it puts the neutral, even the neutral Russian minority people, the individuals of the Russian minority, and it takes them to the Russian side. They're more prone to look at Russia's propaganda. They're more prone to start looking at Russian TV, which is preaching Russia's interests to them, and they are more willing to go towards Russia's side to actually make Russia come and invade the country. This separates the society and only polarizes them furthermore. Because the EFP is completely self-defeating, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to boast. Thank you.
The second speaker will propose to spend time 8 minutes 17 seconds.